I was selling tickets at Ulu, at the box office there, because I used to have gigs on up in the student union bar upstairs. And my manager there was Ricky.
It's very strange that Ricky Gervais is involved in any way.
I was always friends with Simon, though. I think that was probably a bigger connection than me managing Suede. I was a failed musician myself, and I thought, oh, at least it's doing something to do with music. And I think literally the only thing I ever did to help Suede is I sent the demo tape to a few A&R people. But I remember saying, oh, I'm rubbish at this, and the band agreed. There was no tears. I was in an okay job in a student union, helping putting on bands. Simon was already working in the ticket shop.
I was up in the office making some posters for, I think, Nirvana were playing there. And they said, come and have a listen to this tape, what do you think? I thought, oh, this is fantastic. It's great, but why have you got a drum machine? So you need to get them a drummer. I asked if I could get an audition. And he said, no, because you don't wear flares and you haven't got a fringe. Which I was a bit pissed off about.
Simon replaced the drum machine, so the tightness and the rhythm took a hit. But the hair was much funnier because the drum machine had just normal hair. And then this freak comes along who can't drum but has got fucking funny hair.
Do you remember how to set up your drums? I mean,
I do actually. Well,
now you have people to do
it's pretty easy. I haven't done it for quite a while.
I just want you to present this to you, Simon. This is the man whose job you took. So are you feeling guilty about that?
I'm feeling terribly
he had
guilty.
A wife and 2 little drum machines to support.
To support.
And
two tom-toms.
This is the contraption that used to break down in the middle of gigs. And we did those gigs it was at the Bull and Gate, wasn't it?
So it wasn't a lot of competition, to be honest.
Yeah. So you were slightly better than the drum machine, so there you go.
I got the job, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, drum machine.
But you had your own drums, didn't you, at the time?
I did have, well, these are the drums I had. It took me 2 years to buy these on HP. And I cleaned toilets in Stratford-on-Avon for 2 years, literally cleaning shit off walls.
I always thought Simon was a very, very underrated and slightly ignored element in Suede's development musically, you know, what he brought to the picture.
I think with a different drummer, Suede could possibly have gone in a completely different direction. I think it's like, you know, you brought in the kind of like the punky, straight rocky sort of thing.
Suede started really when Simon was in the band and Bernard was in the band.
At the back of my mind, I wanted it to be about songwriting. This is what I wanted to do before I met Brett, before, you know, there was any band involved. And it took about 1.5 years after actually meeting them for that to evolve.
I went around to Bernard's flat out in Leighton, out in East London, and he kind of opened the door and he had this kind of slightly wild-eyed expression and he kind of ushered me in and he played me a demo that he'd made, and it was basically the Drowners.
The Drowners is supposed to be Children of the Revolution. That's where it came from for me. Something with big block chords.
I remember rushing back with this cassette and working on the song all day and all night.
I remember when he first played me the Drowners and we both went simultaneously, yes, that is the song.
You're taking me over. I was like, okay, that's a great pop hook. And I'd always understood the power of the hook, but understanding it and being able to do it were very, very different things. We'd opened a door that had previously been closed to us when we wrote that song.
I remember waking up in the morning and running over to the typewriter to see what was on it a lot. And often just being amazed by this whole world that was in Brett's head.
He used words that weren't rock words, you know, paracetamol, leotard, loony. Although it could be quite fantastical, it was the real life at the heart of it.
The sexuality in the lyrics was a really important thing. I always wanted it to talk about sexuality in the same way that Lucian Freud paints the human body. This sort of like stark realism, slightly uncomfortable, but kind of like very, very real, sort of candle-coloured skin under a fluorescent light.
I remember being at the Premises, trying it out there for the first time.
Everything happened at the Premises. Suede rehearsed there. That's where I met Damon, was at the Premises. That's the first time I ever met him.
We were in this weird and horrible situation that Brett and Justine had split up and she'd met someone else, but she was still in the band. I don't think it ever would have worked. Eventually Justine left.
I don't know how many months it was, but it was pretty awful, and just this heavy feeling in rehearsals, and you know, Brett was really having a hard time.
To lose a relationship that's not just your lover, but someone you're working with, someone who you're making art with.
At the time it was very painful, but it was possibly the best thing that ever happened to me. It kind of gave the songs a direction. Things like Pantomime Horse, you can hear it in that song.
I was born as a pantomime horse, ugly as the sun when it falls to the floor. I was cut from the wreckage one time. This is what I get for being that way.
I think Brett is very, very good at not shying away from hard and unpleasant emotions in yourself. When they split, I think you can hear that.
It kind of enabled me to tap into something very primal in myself. This sense of loss and grief and frustration, jealousy and all of these things, which are very, 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 very powerful things. When I look back at what I was doing as a lyricist in those times, I was trying to reflect the world I saw around me. This sort of broken, disaffected world of squats and roundabouts and dole cues. And that was the world that I found myself in after me and Justine had split up. But at the same time, it was very much an escape from that.
At that time, we were sort of quite different, and I think that sort of fed a lot of these weird songs. But, you know, at the end of the day, they're not actually weird songs at all.
It's not really until you go and play it out in London when no one is making records like that at all, that you're suddenly kind of like, oh, right, we're quite strange.
And there was that kind of crossover period where we were writing all these, what I thought were pretty fantastic songs, things like He's Dead and Moving. But still playing to two people in pubs.
When I saw Suede, I wasn't thinking, oh, you're only playing to 4 people. I was thinking, this is amazing, you're not going to be playing to 4 people for very long.
We had 3 years of struggle.
It was a long time until we got noticed.
I think it was because we were so against the grain. At the time, all the other bands were indie dance.
When you're trying to join in with a crowd, you really have to be quite good at it to assimilate. If you're not, you have to really set yourself apart. And we weren't very good at fitting in with the crowd that was there.
We'd been passed on by everyone. People really, really weren't interested.
And it was this odd phenomenon where I think lots of A&R men that had come to see us in the very early days, they'd seen us and decided we were rubbish. So when we came back and started playing these good songs, they'd kind of like already passed on us.
I had been doing A&R for major record labels and had lost my job at RCA and was thinking about starting a record label, which was a particularly crazy idea. And so I was going out seeing lots of bands.
Saul Galpin, he came to see us at the venue in New Cross. We were doing an NME gig, which was called On for 92. I think we were